Well, I'll start off by saying this. Do not blame that game on the defense, okay? I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't gonna beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win it.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Sad news to report. Stuart Morrison's mother passed away yesterday, and we'll be joining Stuart Morrison. So definitely keep their family in your thoughts and prayers. I always tell you guys, there is no tomorrow guaranteed, and that's why you've got to do everything you can now, even when the odds seem like they're not possible. And that's where we are right now with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, because of inactivity early on in free agency, where we thought we were going all in, but we actually didn't go in at all. Having that situation where we lost 9 starters and we're relying on some players that we hoped would be able to turn the corner and become great players for us, some of which are beginning to. We look at Overshown, Agent Zero, who literally wants the number 0. That's going to be an interesting take right there with Jerry Jones and Rowdy and things. You can look and say Schoonmaker right now. He's kind of gotten you forgetting about Jake Ferguson being injured at the moment because he's playing like a tight end, like a second-round pick you would have expected. And we can also go through and start thinking about Mozzie. I know people will laugh at me when I say Mozzie, but Mozzie's got 31 tackles and is playing better over the course of the last 3 weeks. And I told you, he's very young, very raw, and they literally had to start over from scratch with him, but he is getting better. And you're seeing Cooper Beebe, who's making some really good gains at being the center. You're seeing some of the other younger offensive linemen that are getting together better now. The problem is we've just been decimated by injuries. And some of the troops may be returning. And here's how insane it is when you start thinking about it. Diggs last week did not play. Your all-pro cornerback, Diggs. Now, we were fortunate enough to get Deron Bland back, which helped lessen that blow some. Think about this. Another all-pro in DeMarcus Lawrence has been gone since week 4. Mind you, his first 4 games of the season, he had 3 sacks and has been one of our best run-stopping defensive ends. He's been missing. Zach Martin, who's been dealing with the shoulder and both ankle injuries, gone. All pro. All pro. CeeDee Lamb beat the hell up. Ended up basically the second half of the game being pulled because he is beaten up that much. Jake Ferguson, our standout tight end, who had been a budding star for us, has been out in concussion protocol for the last few weeks as well. And so you think about how much that is. Oh, how about your quarterback? And missing your starting quarterback. Yeah. So you start looking at that, with Dak Prescott being gone, of course, of the season. That's 6 Pro Bowl All-Star players that are not on the field. That's huge. And that doesn't even go take into account guys like Marshawn Nealon that have missed time, or Sam Williams being gone for the year. It's just been next to impossible. You wouldn't expect a team that was already razor thin to have anything there. However, with the 10 days off, kind of the mini bye week, with us not playing until Monday night against Cincinnati, that you have a chance to get back a lot of those guys. D-Law has been practicing and is close. He may be actually able to help give us a little boost. Diggs getting the extra rest. He will be back, and he's definitely going to be needed. If you saw how Joe Burrow and that crew were throwing the ball around yesterday against Pittsburgh. You could be getting Zach Martin, who, has been off the last couple of weeks healing. He may be back. I know we have people that are on the board with saying our new offensive line is ready to go and we're good to go and it's better than the old offensive line. A healthy Zach Martin, there's very few people that are better than him. And if he is healthy, that will help. CeeDee Lamb getting some time to heal up here as well will definitely be a big boost. And you would like to think that Jake Ferguson will be back from from concussion protocol. So that's the hope, that you're all of a sudden getting some more firepower and some great players back, where you seemingly have gotten some momentum the last 2 weeks. Now, if you looked at Washington yesterday against the Tennessee Titans, wow, they destroyed Tennessee. But you beat that team. And I know we've got people who are around talking about playoffs. I know it's crazy, the idea and concept that we're not actually out. And the good news here is we moved up in two spots. We raised up 2 spots in the playoff chase. So I bet you're thinking, oh, my God, we jumped up 2 places yesterday. And here's what we got left for the schedule here, okay? Let's take a look here. The schedule, we got the Bengals on Monday night, which, you got a chance on that one with the extra firepower. You got the Panthers, although the Panthers played pretty good yesterday, losing in overtime. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won in overtime against said Panthers. You got a chance on that one. And then you now all of a sudden have the Eagles. The Eagles, who are trying to get home field advantage. The Eagles, who at the moment look like a great team. And trust me, it hurts for me to say that, but they definitely have Offensive Rookie Player of the Year or MVP sitting there with Saquon Barkley. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You had Derrick Henry and Saquon, the 2 leading backs in the NFL, and Saquon looked that much better. And mind you, as we go through here and we trash our players and things and say our quarterback stinks and stuff like that, when you look around at some of the players that have been given opportunities at other places where they failed, see, now you have to look at a guy like Sam Darnold, who started his career out with the Jets and was a failure there. Goes to Carolina, another failure. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings, and now he looks pretty good. So was it Sam Darnold or was it the Jets organization? Because you can't say that Aaron Rodgers is a scrub, but you've gotten Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold type numbers and results from Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes it's the situation that you're put in. Now, I will say at least the Jets end up putting talent around him. But you look at Saquon with the Giants organization, and he was pretty good there, couldn't stay healthy. And now you look at him with the Eagle organization on a loaded team, and you see where he's able to shine. Those things matter as far as the team goes. They matter as far as the team goes. And that's where you look at Saquon and say, yeah, he's benefiting from that. They're a great team all the way around. It's not all on Jalen Hurts that he's got to make every single play for them to win or lose. It's not all on Saquon either. You have talent across the board, and that helps. And that's where getting back some of our players will help. So you could conceivably win the next 3 games like Jimmy Johnson said. Jimmy Johnson said, the Cowboys, they'll beat the Giants, and they could beat Cincinnati and Panthers and maybe the Buccaneers and give their team hope. But then you've got the Eagles and Washington. I don't think the Eagles are going to get caught as far as the division goes. And so let's look at this next part. The playoff picture, as I put it. The Cowboys moved up 2 spots, which is great. You got the Lions right now in the number 1 seed with 11-1 record. They've got a tougher schedule than the Eagles do. Eagles laying in lurch right there behind them at 10-2 with a cake schedule. You got the Seahawks. The Seahawks right now 7-5, leading their division, looking pretty good, like they're in pretty good shape right now. The Falcons leading their division at 6-6. And then you got 3 wild cards. We're not winning the division. That means we have to get one of the 3 wild cards. And right now, you look at the NFC North, they're getting 2 of those. The Vikings at 10-2, you're not catching the Vikings. You're not. The Packers 9-3, don't think that you can catch the Packers. We would need the Packers to pull a Philadelphia Eagles to just basically kind of lose out. Then there's the Commanders at 8-5. Well, the good news with that is you do play them head-to-head on the last week of the season. You have beaten them once, so that means you do own a tiebreaker. But you're 3 games behind them, guys. They've got 3 more wins than we do. That's a lot of ground to make up. And that, my friends, that is the only place that you're going to be able to get in the playoffs. And let's see where we are. Who else we'd have to leapfrog? The Buccaneers, well, we play the Buccaneers, so you have the opportunity to pass them at 6-6. The Cardinals at 6-6, you've got to catch them. The Rams at 6-6, you've got to catch them. And you've got the 49ers, which kind of helped yesterday, them losing. Although they own the tiebreaker between us because we lost to them. 5-7. Who would have thought the Cowboys, if we had said at the beginning of the season we'd have the same record as San Francisco, I bet you would have been happy. Oh, you would have been so happy. But unfortunately, that means nothing this year. Okay, and here we are, the Dallas Cowboys at 5-7 in the 12th spot with a 4% chance of making the playoffs. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes! Okay. So the reality is we don't really have that good of a chance to make the playoffs. And maybe getting some playing time in for a lot of these players, maybe not being a playoff team gives us a little bit better of a draft pick, and maybe it gives us some momentum going into next year. Now, that's not to say that we can't make the playoffs. It's just it's not very likely. So, yes, we will get some players back that I would love to see. I'd hate to see Zach Martin ending his career in street clothes if he ends up retiring. I would hate for D-Law to go out as a loser, as good as that guy has been for the Cowboys. But you have to realize we are definitely coming to the ends of those careers. So with that, let's take a look at thoughts on the Cowboys, at least. This was after the Thanksgiving win with the Giants.
Cowboys think they're maybe going to go on a run. Winning one game at home is maybe a good head start.
So I'm going to say this, though. When you say don't talk about it, be about it, I have to give respect to Michael Parsons because he's been about it. He totally wrecked the game against the Washington Commanders. He was in the backfield constantly against the New York Giants. And the one thing that you can say about this Dallas Cowboys team is that they are competing. And yes, we can say that this is the first game that they've won at home, but they went on the road and played the Washington Commanders, who has one of the best young quarterbacks in the game, a coach in Dan Quinn, who's leading a team and changing an organization, and they found a way to win. Even when it got bleak, we watched Kevontae Turpin make a huge play to get a kickoff to score. Even when they go and tie it up or be one down, now you get the onside kick. They recover the onside kick and run it back. And so this is the team that's not giving up. And when he says they can make a run, we know this team can't win a Super Bowl. This team couldn't win a Super Bowl when they had their quarterback. But right now, this team is fighting. This team is playing. And for a coach that we sort of knew was a lame duck coach coming into the season, who Michael Parsons didn't necessarily back with his Zach Martin comments, he actually has this team playing extremely hard, and I respect that from the Dallas Cowboys.
I get it, but at some point, Michael Parsons, this playoff push go on a run here.
Well, that's the thing, though. They just won 2 in a row, and like the one thing I'm thinking this, and you like, okay, we can dispute whether or not this team is good enough from a roster standpoint to make a Super Bowl run, because I don't believe they are. But when you watch the way he's played, individually, the effort he's played with, Overshown, Jordan Davis on the outside, all of these dudes are playing extremely hard, and I have a ton of respect for what the Cowboys are doing.
And look, if they went up 8-9 or 9-8, that is really
that's a win.
That's a great job by Coach McCarthy. When you think about going back all the way to Ron Bland at the beginning of the season, to Marcus Lawrence, obviously Micah Parsons,
we've been decimated.
Now your quarterback. And Bart, I agree with you. Cooper Rush is a very functional quarterback. Yeah. So look, they're 2 back with 5 to go in the playoffs. It's doubtful they get in, and even if they do, to RC's point, they're not going to make a lot of noise. But if you're assessing the job that Mike McCarthy is doing in 2024, 8 or 9 wins is a strong effort.
Okay, 2 games back, not inconceivable, right, for the Cowboys to make the postseason, Graz, right?
Yeah, it is. Look, you beat the Giants. Like, chill out. Like, if you're thinking about, like, the Cowboys as a sick patient going to the doctor, Doc, my season's in trouble. I need something. The doctor would say, I've got what you need. Play the Giants. That is your prescription. You will get healthy. You will feel better. But the problem is if you take too much of your prescription medicine, you can start to get a little loopy and start imagining things that, you know.
With one of the most expensive defensive lines in all of football, one of the highest paid linebackers in all of football, the narrative is that they're quitting on their coach. And I'm not saying that they're quitting on their coach, but they're playing soft. You expect more out of that off of that defensive line. And, you know, you look at the Cowboys, and what this is an example of, when you have a great player and you lose a great player in Dak Prescott, everybody else steps their game up, and you start to have balance, because now you see they're committed to the run because they know they can't let Cooper Rush drop back. Why isn't that the game plan when Dak Prescott is in there? They put too much on his shoulders.
$60 million a year.
I understand that, but you still have to have balance. You know, you look at what Harbaugh has done out there with Justin Herbert, who used to put the ball at risk all the time. Creating balance and running the football is always a recipe, no matter how great your quarterback is.
Yeah, and I met Jordan Lewis, too, and I was talking about that defense. The thing that I do like about the Dallas Cowboys is continuing to fight and starting to execute better than they did early on in the season. This defense has improved under Mike Zimmer, and I understand it's the New York Giants, but everybody we play is in the NFL. And it's difficult to win football games. And this is the team that could have totally tanked and said, okay, we're going to try to get as high a draft pick as we possibly can.
Yeah, when you win 2 games in 5 days against division opponents, that is a good week's worth of work, despite who the opponent may be.
Agreed.
It's not their fault.
It's time for Big Breakers. Here we are.
Yeah, anytime you can win 2 games in your division in 5 days, that's a good thing. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. But here's at least one other nugget that's in here, and I have to look at all of them. You do have the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals are all 3 teams that are ahead of us. And they all have to play each other still. The San Francisco 49ers have to play the Cardinals and the Rams still. They have to play the Lions, the Dolphins, and the Bears. And I need to look at what the Cardinals have left, what the Rams have left, and so on. But basically, the Cowboys are going to have to run the table to have any shot. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. And we need Washington. What does Washington have? Commander schedule. Let's see. They got the C. They have the bye week this week. They have the Saints. They have the Commanders. I'm sorry. They have the Saints, the Eagles, the Falcons, and then us. So Washington does have a tough road to hoe. There may be a couple games in there that they could lose. So I still find it hard. Still find it hard to think that they're going to be able to drop that much, because we're talking about we're going to need them to lose to the Eagles, the Falcons, and us. Yeah, and maybe even the Saints. And maybe even the Saints. If they drop 3 of them, that gets them at 9-7. We'd own the tiebreaker, but yeah, we'll see. We'll dissect this a little bit more. Washington definitely has a tougher road than the Eagles. Eagles have a cake schedule. So there you have it, good people. As always, I appreciate you all, and I will see you soon. Peace.